weeks after they were laid, the eggs hatch. In these conditions, it takes the minuscule nymphs about an hour to emerge.
Tree hoppers are a lot more complex than we give them credit for. But as you start to examine them a lot longer and take the time to see what's going on, you realize there's interaction between the sexes, there's interaction with other species, there's defensive behavior, there's courtship, there's singing. It's a complex world, and I find that really impressive.
Unlike other insects, tree hoppers molt 5 times before finally becoming adults. Here, it's a month-long process. Within an hour, this young adult assumes a completely new identity, Membrasis foliata. It's no longer an earthbound nymph. Now, it can fly and will live for 2 to 3 months. Left behind is the shell of its former self. One thing that fascinates scientists is how creatures, including insects like tree hoppers, communicate. Rex Cockcroft from the University of Missouri, Columbia, is a world expert in this field. He's developed a technique that allows him to eavesdrop on a secret world that uses vibration to communicate.
I'm recording the sounds of these membracids that will travel through the plant stem that they live on. So it's a very simple process. We take a section of the plant, we attach a phonograph cartridge or another kind of microphone that makes contact with the plant that will allow us to pick up their vibrations. We send that through an amplifier and then into a tape recorder, which then allows us to download this onto a computer and look at their signals, where we can analyze them and compare them to other kinds of signals. Tree hoppers are very communicative, but they communicate with vibrational signals that travel up and down the stems and leaves of their host plant. So they create the signal using their body, travels through their legs, and then other membracids that are on the same stem can pick this up. Wow, it's a fantastic sound. Nobody's ever heard that sound. You can be sure of that. There's a whole forest full of insects that are signaling using incredible sounds. They're monitoring their environment, they're communicating with each other, and so there's actually a huge amount going on, and if you watch them, you might think absolutely nothing's happening, but once you can tap into that vibrational world, you realize there's a whole series of interactions that you're completely missing.
A stink bug in search of a meal gets everyone's attention. Nymphs are particularly vulnerable.
When a predator attacks, the individuals closest to the predator will signal, and the signaling travels in a wave through the group. So everybody's signals pile up into a kind of vibrational shout. Now when the mother hears this, she immediately responds. She approaches the group and she looks for the predator. She can kick, she can buzz her wings and try to drive the predator away. A very recent study showed that tree hoppers can actually communicate with ants. When mothers of this tree hopper are defending their young against a predator, the mother produces a series of little signals, and if you play back those signals to ants, the ants respond and approach and can then find the predator and evict it from the plant. Given how incredibly important ants are to tree hopper biology and how incredibly many species interact with ants in the Amazon, this kind of behavior, this kind of interspecies communication of tree hoppers talking to ants is probably very common.
Let me get these on.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
People wouldn't think of insect songs as beautiful, but I think you could use
It's like
that
whale
term.
music almost.
So we'll go from sublime to ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
This one's a little bit longer, but hang on there. There's a real punchline at the end.
Wow. Aliens have landed. That's incredible.
Sí. Como periqui.
Ajá, sí. Sí, chillan como periqui.
Ya, moneta.
Ajá.
Sí. Ese abuelo nosotros como radio.
Sí, sí, la radio. ¿eh?
Sí, llamando de vecinos, ya viene vecinos nomás.
Pero esto es para cacería.
Sí,
¿no?
cacería.
Para llamar a la
Sí,
esposa
sí.
que traiga cosas para
Sí.
cocinar.
Sí. Árboles de cacería.
porque
Umberto was explaining to me how the Waorani use these trees to communicate, and they use a special kind of tree for a special kind of message. So this tree that he was demonstrating for us is used to announce that you've gotten food. You're a hunter and you're coming home with game. There's another kind of tree that they use for neighbors to announce that they're coming to pay a visit.
Para Romiaco.
It's really interesting to see how these parallels between how the Waorani use plants to communicate and how the tree hoppers that we've been talking about also use plants to communicate. They might also announce we've got food or we're coming to visit.
With the tree hoppers, they don't hear each other until they're sitting on the same plant. So there's this big question that we don't know the answer to, is how these things find each other. How do these find a mate? We don't know.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حتى إذا أتوا على واد النمل قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم
This one's a little bit longer, but hang on.
ادخلوا مساكنكم ليحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون.
دوت بها أرجاء مكة ورددت أصداءها منابر الصين ومآذن إفريقية.
A little bit longer.
نحن أمة أمجاد،
Hang on there. There's a
أمة أجداد، تاريخنا مشرق وضاء، وصفحاتنا نظيفة بيضاء.